Should we start?
Yes, I think we can start.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking about a comprehensive journey from class 12 to academia to a psychology career in India. How does it look like? How does each transition stage look like? So, before that, I'll just quickly introduce myself. So, I'm Charvi Kagde. I work as a teaching assistant in the Behavioral Health Sciences department in SIHS, Symbiosis Pune. I have done an MSc in clinical psychology. Okay. So, moment. Yeah. So when we are choosing, most students, when they're choosing their academic program, whether it's for undergraduate, whether it's for masters, it's often based on location, that I want to stay in this city, that I want to stay in another city, or fees. But it's not actually focused on what kind of curriculum is this institution offering, or how much clinical exposure does this um, or how much clinical exposure does this particular institution offer, right? So, and for good reason, because we don't really have any sort of clarity when we are in that particular stage. So that's precisely what this webinar is going to be for, where we're going to be talking about how each stage looks like and the things that you need to know when you're switching between this one stage to another. Okay. So first from 12th to when you're switching to undergrad, the first dilemma that you go through is, am I making the wrong decision? Is psychology really the right path for me? I remember when I was a science kid, I was preparing for my JEE in 12th standard. And when I realized that I want to do psychology, I was met with a lot of resistance from my parents, from my peers. They're like, does it really have a future? What scope is there? Will you be able to make a career out of it? So that was a dilemma that I went through, but ultimately I did make one of the best choices of my life. Then later on, even after UG, you come across this very confusing question, which is, how do I choose the master's course? Is this the right institution for me? What specialization is right for me? It's a very confusing question. And finally, even after you finish this post graduation, you are faced with the biggest question. Will I actually get a job? How much will this job pay me? Is this job, will this job justify all the effort that I've put in? So we're going to address all of these one by one. The outcomes that we're going to get through this session is that we'll get an honest picture of each transition stage. We will talk about the different psychology career options that are available in this country. And then we'll talk about what makes a program worth your time and money, and how to choose that, how to know that this is the right program for you. And then finally, we will end with the question and answer session. Okay. So because we're talking about an honest transition stage, I have invited a few of my students from first year behavioral health sciences who study in Symbiosis Institute of Health Sciences. So they'll be talking about an experience that they themselves have recently gone through, where they switched from 12th to undergrad, and they'll tell you about how they went through this and how this has been a changing experience for them. So before I hand it over to them, I would like to introduce them. So we have Sarah, we have Sana, Pooja, and Raya with us. So I'll let them talk now.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and similar to Charvi ma'am, I had been preparing for JEE in my 11th and 12th, and I switched from this course for multiple reasons, which I'll be speaking about today. So, firstly, it does allow me to explore my passion for psychology, which I realized that I wanted to do later in around 12th grade. And it really helps me grow academically and professionally by creating a space for me to pursue my hobbies and interests. So it's not like the course is so demanding that it's taking all my attention, but it's also that I can pursue a lot of things on the side. For example, I'm a dancer, I've been dancing for over 10 years. So I get to pursue that. I get to do my debut on stage alongside that. One more thing is Symbiosis personally has created such a good ecosystem for me that I was able to um, be the co-founder of the startup Manasync along with my senior. So, in collaboration with the Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, I have begun the journey on my startup, and it has helped me to basically get funding as a private limited company. And it was approved by the HOD, and they are really being very supportive with this idea. So I feel like personally, this was one of the best choices I've made to join this course. And the subject, the faculty is very, very supportive, and it's like they're always there for me no matter what. And along with that, even the classroom environment is really great because there is a lot of open communication. There's no hesitation to express your opinions. And I feel like it's just overall a really good course that helps me to grow not only academically, but as a person.
Good morning. My name is Sana, and when I first chose psychology, I had a really clear expectation of what college might look like. I expected it to look a lot like school, where because psychology is a really theory-heavy subject, lectures would be one-sided and classes would involve listening to the teacher and taking down notes. But in reality, I found my learning experience to be a lot more engaging and interactive. Classes were usually discussion-led, and our teachers really encouraged us to think and speak our opinions and focus more on understanding the concepts. And as a naturally shy person, this really helped me build my confidence. And more often, I speak out in class. Something else I also assumed was that the interaction with the faculty and the senior would be more limited, something that would happen only when necessary and not very frequent. But I found a really strong support group among my seniors, especially during our first examination in our college. They helped us out a lot and really guided us on how to give answers and write the questions. Also, our regular mentor-mentee sessions with our teachers are really helpful because we are able to speak out loud about any problems we are having, which are academic or also non-academic. Lastly, I didn't expect college to be, especially for psychology, to have a lot of exposure on the practical side, but we got visits to institutions such as the Schizophrenic Awareness Association and the Maharashtra Institute of Mental Health, which helped us connect our theory to real life and practical application. One thing that surprised me and something really valued was the strong emphasis on developing our soft skills. This was something I thought I would have to figure out by myself after college, but our college really helped us prepare this, and we really saw this early on. So, interview skills, group discussions, and building our CVs and resumes, this built our confidence and prepared us for not just exams, but also our life after college. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rai Fatima, and here I'll be talking about transition from school to university. So when you're, as someone who was raised in Kuwait, I'm not an Indian resident myself. It was really quite difficult to, you know, study in a university. I'm away from home. It's quite difficult, and there's a lot of changes. So like socially, academically, and emotionally. So for socially, for example, again, you're in a new environment. I have met a lot of people from different crowd here. I have met many people from different cultures also, different backgrounds. It was really eye-opening, I would say. And also, I also learned how to be more independent. Um, Also, I've developed a lot of networking skills. I also have built a lot of new friends here. And with academically is that there is a lot of increased workload. There were a lot of assignments, a lot of tests, and also you need to learn how to manage your time more. With that also, there is kind of like less guidance as compared to school, for example. And so deadlines and pressure becomes a daily part of your life. As I also mentioned, since I'm not from India, I'm from Kuwait, I'm away from home. there were many times, and still now also, I feel homesick. I feel I miss home a lot. But also due to this, I have made Pune my second home. From my friends, my roommates, my faculty have made me feel like home and helped me a lot in that duration of me feeling very homesick. I also learned how to adapt as well and self-discover Pune as my own. So overall, the transition can be challenging, but it does play a lot of key roles in changing my independence, resilience, and identity. Thank you so much.
Good morning. I'm Pooja Sarangan, and I'm originally from Bangalore. So coming to SIU, the campus, it was very different for me, and it was very disorienting at first because suddenly, out of nowhere, I was in a completely new environment, and there were different ways in which we were doing our academics, and there were new people that we were meeting. So it was incredibly difficult at first. But the thing about hostel culture is that it plays a very big role in making it more comfortable to adapt. You end up spending a lot of time not just with your batchmates in class, but you spend time with them outside, and you learn how to share your culture with each other. And learning how to withstand and stay resilient during any kind of challenges is something hostel plays a major role in, and I found that here in SIU as well. Another thing is that support system here in Symbiosis especially doesn't just come from student interaction, it also comes from the faculty and the institute itself. We have a institution called SKEW, Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing. And what I really appreciate about SKEW is that it talks about how to promote and prevent and curate aspects of mental health. And this makes it feel more balanced and approachable. Uh, it also promotes not only the well-being of us, it promotes the well-being of staff and everyone. So it feels very interactive and well-rounded. And overall, the support system, despite being so far away from home and despite being so far placed from our comfort zones, this campus makes it feel like we are at home with the hostels and the different cultural fests that we've introduced and initiatives like SKEW. Thank you.
Thank you, students. That was a very comprehensive journey that you took us through. So now let's switch to masters and how important it is to choose your masters, because your master's course will kind of really set tone to the entire to your future career, to how you will practice, right? So there are certain things that you need to look at when you are choosing your course for masters, which is first the clinical exposure and internship tie-ups, which is how much clinical exposure does the institution that you're looking at, how much does it offer? So do they have certain clinical postings? Do they have collaboration with different hospitals? For example, here at SIHS, we post our students across different institutes within different departments within the university hospital, right? So they get to visit and look at a variety of different people from who are facing not just psychiatry related issues, but also issues that are presented in real life. And there are also internship tie-ups that SIHS has, which is with Tapas, which is the rehabilitation center, then Sangat, which is a research center, and Mukta, which is a counseling center in Pune, right? Then along with that, you need to also look at the mentorship and faculty access. So in your master's course, you will be intimately coordinating with the faculty that you have, because they will be mentoring you through your clinical postings, through your clinical practice, through the research that you conduct, dissertations. So having access to this faculty and having faculty that is open and competent enough to guide you is something that you really need to look. So for example, here at our institution, we have faculty from a variety of different disciplines. So we have psychiatry, we have neuroscience, we have education, we have psychiatric social work. So having this wide variety of interdisciplinary specializations ensures that our students get a holistic understanding of the entire of psychology as a whole. Along with that, you need to also look at how the community and peer network in the institution looks like. So in your master's, your peer network won't just be your friends, but it will also be future connections that you will want to work with. So understanding how the peer network works, how you support each other, is something that you really need to look at. This could include talking to students who are already in this particular institution, right? And then research opportunities and support. So how much research opportunities do you get from this institution? How much support do you get? So for example, here at SIHS, we offer students to interact with a lot of different guest faculty that we get, national and international. There are a lot of conferences that happen that the students get to be a part of and network. Then specializations is also something that is very essential that you look at. So looking at what exactly do I need to follow, which specialization do I need to take, and having a rough idea, okay, I want to work in organizational settings, I want to work in health psychology, is something that you need to look at. So here at SIHS, we offer two specializations. Excuse me. We offer two specializations, counseling psychology and health psychology. And then you also need to look at the curriculum of the institution. So is the curriculum up to date? Are they looking at something that was relevant 10 years ago and not really looking at something that is ongoing right now? Are they integrating different paradigms that have been introduced or updated? Are they integrating different tech into their courses? So AI, digital mental health, is that being integrated in the curriculum? So for example, here in the course and outside, we ensure that the students get a holistic understanding of not just theory, but also different courses related to technology and soft skills that these students can take part in. And while we are focused a lot on academics in our master's program, we also need to look at whether this particular institution, what is this particular institution doing for us? Are they supporting our mental health? How does student support work? Okay. So, like my students talked about, Symbiosis has SKU, which is Symbiosis Center for Emotional Wellbeing, which has trained psychotherapists, counselors who help you through any sort of support that you might need through your journey. And there are also regular mentor-mentee sessions in which you get to interact with the faculty on one-to-one basis and then talk about your issues and get them sorted. Right? So these are certain things that you look at when you are choosing a master's course. Okay. And then let's finally talk about master's to career. How does the real world look like? We live in a very bubble when we are in academia. So switching to that is it's kind of a metamorphosis, right? From your undergraduate to your career. It is a evolving thing that you go through. So for example, when I started off, I was very clear that I want to do clinical psychology and I want to work in the clinical field with clinical patients. But slowly I realized that, okay, as while I really like learning clinical skills or clinical theories, I don't really have the skill set that it takes to work with clinical patients. So then I realized, okay, what if I just switch to counseling and I work in counseling psychology? But then even after that, I realized that more than that, I enjoy research and academia more. So this is a evolving thing throughout your academic career. You don't start off with a very rigid idea and stick to it, but you keep it agile. You keep it moving throughout the years, right? So that is something that is very interesting, something that is very scary, but also something that is very rewarding. And then let's also talk about what a psychology job actually looks like. So a job in the field of psychology includes your conservative traditional pathways of practice. Then it also involves getting into academia, getting a PhD, learning how to getting a PhD and getting into research. And there is also something called behavioral sciences, which taps into public policy, marketing, and it is not just psychotherapy, but it is actually integrating how you can change behavior through certain ways, right? Then there's also digital mental health. With the constant boom of technology, constant evolving technology, we keep changing things. The startups and different mental health apps and mental health tech that is coming, it is booming. So that is also a path that you can choose, right? So one thing that a psychology job that people who are talking about jobs often overlook is the unglamorous part of it, which is the paperwork, the documentation. Whether you are practicing, whether you're in research, there's a lot of documentation that takes place. Writing session notes, writing session notes, writing how you are planning to take sessions, how you are, what are your intervention plans. Is something that is one of the crucial key parts of practice that people overlook, right? But along with that, it is also a very rewarding job. Whenever I work, whenever learning new things to teach my students, and then when I'm teaching them and I'm standing in front of them, it really gives me a sense of satisfaction that nothing else would have otherwise given. Also, let's talk about how training prepares you for early career realities. So, like I said, master's is a very crucial is a very crucial path that trains you for your career. And some things that I have realized is the importance of patience, whether you're practicing, whether you're working in research, the amount of patience that you require is a lot. Getting a particular paper published or getting a particular client to engage with the interventions that you're preparing, that is something that takes a lot of patience. Also, something that is very important that you need to get trained in is reading, lots of reading, not just passively reading, but actively engaging with the text, questioning it, critically analyzing it. And reading just doesn't just involve your academic texts, but also keeping up to date with current events, social, economic, because we don't live in a vacuum. So things that are happening in the world. So, for example, the war that is happening that actively affects us and the clients that we are looking at, right? So, reading not just academic texts, but also current events is something that is very, very important. And then, even on the job, supervision is also something that will really play a role in how you get ahead with your career. So, for example, here at SIHS, like I said, we have faculty from a diverse field. So, our head, she is actually a psychiatrist. Then we have the associate professor, Dr. Jitendra Sir, who is working in the field of neuroscience. And there is Dr. Shruti Verma, who is in the field of organizational behavior. There's Dr. Chaya, who is working in the field of psychiatric social work, and there is Dr. Meenakshi, who is working in the field of education, educational psychology, and social psychology. So, because I have such a wide variety of wide backgrounds that I learn from. I learn a very holistic. I learn psychology in a very comprehensive way. Right? And then let's talk about what I wish someone would have told me when I was transitioning between different stages. So when I was going from 10th or from 12th to undergrad, one thing that I didn't know was that there is no learning by heart. I don't have to read it and then recite it. But you have to actually understand the concept. You have to work with that concept and, like I said, critically analyze it. Then from UG to PG, one thing that was really difficult for me is choosing specializations. So it would have been really easy for me if there was some sort of specialization that was offered to me just within my bachelor's. So that would have made choosing a specialization in master's easier. So as that was not an option for me, the new act that has passed, that is NCHP, National Commission for Allied Health Professionals, their curriculum actually offers specializations right within the field of, right in your bachelor's. So there are around 12 specializations that are offered. So that includes child and adolescent mental health, organizational behavior, cyber psychology, um, and a host of other specializations. So if you have that, you get a much better idea of how you are going to choose a particular course in your master's or specialization you're going to choose. Another thing that I struggled with was that your general BA or BSc degree, they only offer you they only offer you specialization in your final year. So core psychology only is in your third year, right? So is only in your third year. So if I had core psychology for all the 4 years, that would have been really easy. It would have been really easy for me to come to a realization about what I want to do earlier. So yeah. And then finally switching from master's to career. One thing that I really woke up to is how hard it is to get a job in practice, in research, in any field within psychology as a fresher, because you barely have any uh, actual first-hand experience, right? So this is one thing that I really envy my students about, because with Symbiosis, there are so many clinical postings, so many research opportunities that people get, that these students get, that once they are in the field, this won't be something that is new to them. Interacting with clients, working in research, it won't be something that is completely new to them. And so the struggle that is faced it will not be as quite intense as I did. So that is something, so I would have, so if I had that, I think I would not have struggled as much as I did. And I also would have been preferred within the organization that I'm in, right? So, okay. So that was the basic switch that it's basic switch transition and how it looked like for me. So before we go ahead and with the question and answer session, I wanted to take you guys through a closer look at SIHs and the courses that we offer here. So here there are two courses that we offer. One is Bachelor of Psychology, BSci, and an MSc in Behavioral Health Sciences. So the MSc in Behavioral Health Sciences, like I said, offers two specializations, counseling psychology and health psychology. And the BSci program, it is NCHP aligned. So like I talked about, the National Commission for Allied Health Professional. We are one of the very few colleges that have been aligned with NCHP in the upcoming academic year. Along with that, SIHS is very multidisciplinary. We work not only in the ecosystem of psychology, but in the ecosystem of allied health professionals. So we constantly collaborate with the different departments in the institution, that it may be medical technology, may it be public health, may it be MBA in healthcare management, right? So it gives you a more well-rounded understanding of allied health in itself. Along with that, there is clinical postings across different departments in SUHRC, that is the 900-bed hospital that we have right below the institution. So students get posted in the psychiatry ward, in the gynecology ward, in the dialysis ward. So they understand how problems present not only in the context of psychiatry, but how they are present in a host of other places. And then students also get exposure to Child Learning and Development Center, that is CLDC. Here, this is a center that engages with children who have learning disorders, or neurodevelopmental disorders, or neurodivergent disorders, or any sort of adjustment disorders that children or adolescents might have. So it gives an excellent gateway into understanding child psychology. And then there's also SCOPE, that is Symbiosis Community Outreach Program. So here you not only engage with the urban community, but also engage with the rural community and see how different mental health issues manifest in them. Along with that, there is also interdisciplinary faculty, like we talked about. We are not just from one particular niche, but from a variety of different disciplines. And then there is also emphasis on research through supervised projects. So may it be research projects, your dissertation, any sort of capstone projects, any sort of startups like my student is currently working on. So there is an emphasis on research. It's very important. And finally, we also have a lot of national and international conferences that happen in the institution. So for example, right now as well, there is a conference called Sim Health, which is happening, which talks about precision medicine in healthcare. And there was Sim Psych that was conducted in October 2025 that included interactions with not just people from the country, but from all over the world. So students got to communicate, network with different people, and learn how different knowledge is seen in the uh, overall field of psychology. So yeah, this is what SIHS is. So the floor is open for questions if there are any.
While we wait for questions, I would like to request the participants to turn on your camera so I can take a picture for. Okay, just give me a second. Done. Great, thanks. We have a question in the chat. Can we pursue an MSc after BA Psych Honors? An honors degree in psychology? Is that the question, Chitra Singh? Yes. Charvi, do you want to take that? Can you pursue an MSc after a BA in Psych Honors?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you can. As so, the institution has certain procedure that we go through that involves an SOP and then a personal interview. But you're eligible to apply for the MSc course.
As long as you have a psychology degree, regardless if it's a BA or a BSc, you can pursue your master's at Symbiosis. Does that help, Chitra Singh? Yes. Great. I will also share a resource in the chat box so that anyone who wants to look at a checklist for transitioning from your 12th to your career in psychology can use this as a guide. We have another question. They have a UG and PG in economics. Can you still pursue a master's in psychology? I think the guidelines regarding your admissions in masters for psychology are changing a little bit, but as long as you have a social science background, feel free to explore the master's programs at SIHS and even outside. But SIHS, I think if you have a social science degree, you might still be eligible for a master's course. So feel free to
Ma'am, is
yeah.
it possible to pursue it online?
Sorry?
Is it possible to pursue it online? Because I don't stay in Pune, or I'm looking for an online one.
We don't offer online courses as of yet. The MSc program that we have right now is an in-person course. You would have to be in Pune to
Okay,
complete
is there
that.
any other option which I can go with then?
I think in general, online courses are being taken down by the NCHP Act. So if you pursue a master's degree in psychology online, you would
Yes.
not be eligible for licensure anywhere in India.
Okay.
So that could be something that becomes a deal breaker for your decision.
Okay. So is there any substitute or something else, if you can figure out for me, or is this the only option I am left with?
Can you clarify? So if the master's program that you wish to pursue is just for your would you hope to
I'm not
practice it
looking, yeah,
later?
I'm not looking for clinical. I'm looking for anyone which is like a counseling kind of a thing. Basically, I also pursued diploma, but I don't think so. It is that much recognized enough for having a value kind of a thing because I pursued it from Counsel India. It was online, and from last few years only, I guess the online masters in psychology is prohibited. I was looking
Yes.
something which is ASIA recognized, or at least it is having a weightage globally.
Oh, even then, I think there is a lot more regulation that they've brought in.
Okay.
So if you're looking at a RCI approved degree,
Hmm.
I think again a diploma, even those are in person
Hmm.
courses. They have really not made provisions for online learning if you need to practice or even have a globally recognized degree.
So is it possible like I can come over there only for examinations or something? Can that much flexibility will be provided for the working people?
I think that is a conversation probably we can take up
Okay.
one-on-one.
Okay. Will do.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Will do.
right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Do we have any more questions? I think we are good to go. I think we'll maybe wait for a couple more minutes to see if anybody has any more questions. And in the meantime, I want to thank you all for attending the webinar, even the students who are there. Thank you for sharing your experience. It has been a wonderful session. Thank you, Charlie, as well. Yes, if we don't have any more questions and nobody has anything else to add, we will close down today's webinar and we'll have a fun Saturday.
If there are any follow-up questions, you can also reach out to us via email.
I will put that email
Yeah.
in the chat.
Chat box. Thank you.
Yes.
I think if there's no more questions, we can end.
Yes, I will
Thank you so much
close
for
it
attending,
down.
everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone.